Then you notice the language that it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Not just the right to report to the armory when you're called up for militia duty and pick up your weapons there at the armory, but the right to keep and bear arms. Again, implies that it's an individual right. And putting all these together, I am convinced that the framers intended this to be an individual right. And one of the reasons is, as Justice Joseph Story said in the 1830s with his commentaries on the Constitution, Story is considered to be the leading expositor of the Constitution of the 1800s, and he describes the Second Amendment as the palladium of liberty. That is, the outer fortress, the outer wall of protection. You might say what he means is, this is the right that makes the other rights possible. It's the right by which we protect our other rights. And if that right were taken away, then our other rights would not be in a position where we could defend them. And I heard it said, and this is putting it kind of funny, but I heard it said one time that if I had to choose between the right of free speech and the right to keep and bear arms, I'd choose the right to keep and bear arms. And then I could say anything I want because I have a gun. But there is some truth in that. And if you read through the Federalist Papers, you'll find that James Madison makes clear when he talks about local militias that the main reason for local militias was that they would be a bulwark against federal tyranny. Alexander Hamilton says the same thing in the Federalist Papers, and Hamilton is far from being a wild-eyed revolutionary. So if people think the idea that the individual right to keep and bear arms is to say that has something to do with defense against tyranny, if you think that's radical and wild, I can only say you need to address your complaint to James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, because that's exactly what they say. It exists for other purposes too, for protection, individual protection, of course, because you go back in those days, if you're living out in the country and there's an attack by outlaws or whoever it might be, you don't call 911. And in fact, even in towns did not have police forces in the sense that they have them today. The police could come out afterward and make an arrest, but as far as protecting you from an attack, they weren't in a position to do so, and in many cases they aren't today. The response time, even for 911 calls, is such that by the time they get there, the crime is probably going to be over. The idea that we need the individual right to bear arms in self-defense is as applicable today as it has ever been.
Wow. Thank you, Colonel Eidsmoe. That was a wonderful explanation. I hope everyone hears that and understands that. You need to listen to it over again to get the full gist of it if you need to, but like he says, you know, we really need it. So we need to interpret things according to the way the founders meant for it to be interpreted. And that's what I love about the Foundation for Moral Law, because they study the original intent. And that's what's missing these days, Colonel Eidsmoe. Thank you, sir, for doing that for us. God bless you.
Well, thank you, and it's been a pleasure to be with you, and keep spreading the word.